Coming to you live from the city that never sleeps, New York City. It's Up Late with Johnny Potenza.
Welcome to the Up Late with Johnny Potenza Virtual Show. I'm your host for the evening, Johnny P. Hope everybody is doing well, getting ready for the summer. You know I am, but tonight we have a real special treat. We have the man himself, Oscar Alvarez. Oscar is a producer and a writer of the new documentary called The Real Miyagi, the Pat Morita Story. The doc hit #1 with a bullet in early 2021 on iTunes, and is still in the top 10 on iTunes in the documentary section. Not too bad. So let's get Oscar in, and let's hear his story. It's amazing. There he is, Oscar Alvarez. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Johnny? Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you for calling in from Burbank, California. How's it going over there?
It's great. It's great. It's the weather's perfect. Can't complain. Excited to be here. Thank you so much. Yeah, I don't know what. Tell me what you want to know, and I'm here for you.
Listen, I'm the truck and you're the driver. You got all the education, so I just love listening, and I'll chime in. I got a lot of questions for you.
Okay. I mean, well, start from the beginning, I guess. One thing I want to clarify really quick is, I've done 2 documentaries with the word Miyagi in it. So
yes.
The first one we did is The Real Miyagi, and then this one is More Than MIYAGI. I didn't know if you were aware of that. So, yes. And we started this because my partner, who's also my director for both projects, Kevin Derrick, he's a karate guy, and he has a black belt in martial arts, and his master happened to be Sensei Fumio Demura. And, he grew up with him, and, they would be in class together and so forth. And he's always wanted to do, as a filmmaker, he's always was intrigued and wanted to do documentary on Sensei Demura's life. So he finally approached him, and Sensei said, well, you better do it because he's older. He didn't know how much time he had left. So he allowed us into his home and into his dojo, and we did this documentary, and it came out really well. And we got lucky, and we got in front of Netflix, and Netflix picked it up for about 3 years, which is great. And when that happened, before I had to deliver it, I had to get all these, finalized paperwork and talent releases and so forth. I needed to get something for Pat Morita, but since he's passed away, I didn't know who was in charge of his estate, and I had to figure all that out. And then we ended up finding Evelyn Guerrero Morita, which is his last wife.
Yes.
And she lives in Las Vegas, and Kevin and I drove to Vegas. We met her. She's a sweetheart, and signed off on everything. And then we were just talking with her, and we kind of just started talking about Pat, and she was telling us different things. And she shared with us this manuscript that Pat had been writing for about like the last 10 years of his life. And he almost finished it. He didn't quite finish it. But one of the things that Pat told Evelyn, before he passed away was, I want you to tell my story, however you do it, whether a book, this or that. And so Evelyn has been trying for years to try to figure out how to tell a story. And she showed us a manuscript. We read some of the stuff. I was blown away by what we read. And we left, and then we called her, I think like 2 weeks later, and we said, we would be honored if we can do his story, if you would give us permission. And she agreed. And here we are.
What about the ending of it? Is this
the ending of
his manuscript? Is it still blank, or you guys filled in the pieces to
well, that? Ending, I mean, like, I don't know how exactly he wanted to end it, but like we kind of ended it in a way of what he was. I mean, he ended it with his struggles. So we kind of wrapped it up with that. And, I guess we didn't do the typical Hollywood movie where you have, you know, you end it all in a high note, because honestly, that's not what happened in the end.
Yeah.
And I think my director really wanted to keep it real. And I think a lot of people appreciate, you know, seeing that. And that's what Pat wanted. Pat wanted people, if he could help someone that was struggling the way he was, that's what he wanted.
And you would never figure, you would never figure that. In the documentary, said he was drinking every day, like a lot, like say Jackie Gleason, a lot of these guys, and you wouldn't even know it. And the Honeymooners say,
Yeah.
or when he was acting in Happy Days. I mean, some people are just functional alcoholics, and they could do it. I couldn't do it. I like to drink, but I couldn't do it performing or playing the drums or whatever.
Yeah, no, and he admitted to that. He said that's nobody knew. Nobody had. I mean, most of the people that we interviewed didn't know. Mm-hmm. You know, some did, but some did not, and you couldn't tell. And that's what was like the big thing of like, wow, like he had a lot of demons and he was suffering. And then you start going back into his, you know, I want everyone to see the documentary. I'm not going to give it all away, but you go back and you see what he's been through, and it's like one thing after another, and he would come out of this problem and go into that problem. And, you know, we all have, you know, issues that we deal with in life, and we get dealt these cards, but like, it was a lot. It was a lot. And still he managed to do what he did.
And you know, everyday life in general is a struggle and it's tough. You know, it's there ain't even like no middle class. It's either you're just getting by, you're poor, you're rich. But the entertainment business, you struggle, you make it, you lose it, you get it back, you lose it, and then whatever happens, happens. It takes a strong person to deal with that. And then, you know, sometimes you do got to overindulge. And I mean, that's the only thing that makes you feel better. Back in the day in the music business, I had a little bit of a substance abuse problem. And, you know, we all overcome it.
No, I appreciate your honesty in sharing that, because, you know, a lot of people don't share that, and it's the truth. And one thing that I do want people to take away from the documentary is that he was a courageous man. I think he had a lot of courage to do what he did, because like you said, you know, people go through things like this, and you may not be able to handle that. You may not be able to move and go forward or meet your goals or do that. And he still did. I mean, first of all, being Japanese American back in late 60s, 70s, 80s, being a stand-up comedian, that was already difficult, you know? And this guy was running with, you know, the best of Lenny Bruce and, you know, Red Fox. I mean, he was the real deal. And I didn't know that about him. And then I started seeing, I go, wow. And then, you know, sometimes comedians, it's easy to make a transition to film and TV, and sometimes it's not. It's kind of like theater actors, you know, it's sometimes they can do it, they can't do it. For Pat, I don't think that's not what his goal was when he came to Hollywood, and he started later in the game. I think he was like in his 30s. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to just be a comedian and stand up. That's what he wanted. But his agent, which was Lenny Bruce's mother, she saw more in him, saw potential. I mean, she saw his talent, plain and simple. And as an agent goes, you know what? You're gonna be a star. You're gonna do TV. You're gonna go to. He kind of rolled with the punches and went, but he was great at it.
Yeah.
You know, also being Japanese, you know, there's certain things in that culture that you don't share certain things, or you don't do certain things, and you got to be, you know, a certain way, and that's hard. I mean, I know I'm Latino, and it's like there's certain things that I can't be disrespectful towards my parents or this or that, because that's just the way we are and we've been raised. So it's hard. So I think some things with him, he had to just kind of suppress and push down. And I think the only way he could deal with them was by maybe having to have a drink and so forth.
Hey, listen, he had all those problems in the documentary, you guys, and I got to tip my hat to you and Kevin. Excellent. It was great. I watched it 3 times. I watched it with 3 different friends. I wanted to study it. I love that you had Henry Winkler in there, and Donnie Mose and Anson Williams, and of course our good friend Sean Kanan from the Karate Kid 3.
Yeah, he's great.
Hook me and you up together.
Yeah, no, Sean's great. Sean was actually in real Miyagi along with us.
Yes.
I mean, I love that guy. He's down to earth, and
he's another one. He has a heart of gold. There's not a lot of actors that I know that are just normal people.
That's what we wanted this documentary. It's like, you know, he's more than Miyagi. It's like, we all know him as Pat Morita. And that's going back to what you just said. For me, it affected me because I lost my dad in '86. Okay. That was around where Karate Kid kind of came out. So I didn't have a father figure after that. So when you saw this movie and you saw the way he portrayed Miyagi to be, it was like a father figure.
100%.
You know? So, you know, it's mind-blowing to me. And when you see it and you see what he went through and still what he achieved, you know, I talk to Kevin and I go, I don't know if I would have been as courageous as Pat. Some people take their lives.
Yeah.
What if he would have committed suicide? Then we would have never had Pat Morita, and to be able to see his talent and share that with the world.
And you know what I learned years ago from a lot of people, and when you go through depression and say drug problems, and you hear about people committing suicide, a lot of people think about suicide, but they never go through it because they don't got the guts to do it, or they're scared to do it, or they really don't want to die, but they want to die. But it's not like a not normal thing. If anyone thinks that, like, oh, I feel like I want to commit suicide, that you're crazy. It's an emotion, and it's like a lot of normal people think that, but then they overcome it and it gets out of their head.
Right. Yeah. No. Exactly. It's tough. Tommy Chong says something, and he said, you know,
where did Tommy Chong come from in there? What did he bring? The weed? What was he? Where'd you find him?
Well, let me just say right there. So Tommy Chong said, he goes, you know, he loved Pat. And then I'll tell you, I mean, one of the things that he shared and it just moved me was he said, he goes, I wish Pat wouldn't have been drinking. I wish he would have been doing pot instead, because maybe he'd be with us.
Definitely.
You know, that was a thing. And it's kind of like, you know, but Tommy, they met because of comedy. Stand-up comedy. They ran with all those guys. Like, that's how they knew each other, and they hit it off, and so forth. And you know, they would probably hang out at the strips and all the different, you know, comic places that were, whatever was big, or Foxes back then.
Now, what are you looking at? Late '70s, early '80s, right?
Yeah. So Red Fox had that was place,
big,
I think, on Sunset or Fairfax, and it was called Foxes. So, you know, now it's what? Comedy Store, improv, and things like that. But that's how they met, and they became really good friends. And, you know, they would see, he goes, we didn't hang around all the time, but when we would see each other again, it was like we picked up where we left off. It was that kind of a relationship.
Yeah.
Tommy told a story that was very touching in the doc, and I'll share it. But when Tommy, he had to go to prison, you know, because of things that he got involved with and all that. He had a rough time with that. And, you know, whenever you go to prison, especially if you've never been there before, it's kind of scary. And it's like, he goes, that's when you really know who your friends are, Tommy said. And he goes, the only person that rang him was Pat Morita.
Oh, really?
But yeah, he said nobody called him. He goes, his agents, his attorneys, friends, people, no one. He goes, but Pat picked up the phone, and he goes, and literally he goes, it was like I was talking to Mr. Miyagi on the other end.
What's your next plan for this whole franchise? I mean, you guys are involved now with, are you involved with the new Cobra Kai season 4 at any point?
No, they're completely their own thing, and so forth. That we have no connection with them. But just really quick, can I give a shout out to those producers, because I think they did a fabulous job with Cobra Kai. Yeah, amazing. Just hats off to them.
Thumbs up.
Me personally, I love the thing of how they completely changed the roles. You know, now Johnny doesn't really have a lot the way Daniel did it back then, but Daniel's now succeeding and so forth. I love that whole dynamic, and especially this last season, I love the whole arc of Kreese's character. You know, Vietnam and all that. So
I got into it right from the beginning. The first couple episodes, it took me a little while, but then I got hooked. And the problem is now that when we were younger, everyone could binge watch. So you could just bang out a season in a couple of days when it would take you a couple of 3, 4, 5 months to go through the whole thing. It's over. Then you got to wait almost a year. But I'm looking forward to season 4. I really hope they bring the characters that were from the Karate Kid 3, and I'm going to keep pushing it for the producers out there at Cobra Kai. You got to bring Mike Barnes back, Sean Kanan. I know Sean's been training. He still looks good, and I endorse him 100%.
No, I hope so. And I'll be honest, I'll be blown away if they don't bring him back, those people, because they've done a really good job about preserving the original movie and that's why I think the show's done so well, because they knew how to do it. They found the right balance where they're appealing to us who grew up with Karate Kid, but they also are appealing to the younger generation. So I don't know. Something says that they're going to come back.
And then I used to see Ralph Macchio. I don't know him, but he used to do the Chiller Expos and like the Comic-Cons like years later.
Right.
A friend of mine, Kevin Clement, runs the Chiller in New Jersey twice a year. And Ralph was there a couple of times, and so was Billy, and Sean was there. It's a nice event. You guys would do really good there, too. I mean, if he's ever ready to go down there, I'll introduce you to him. But I remember Ralph.
Oh, that's great.
He had lines. They were all day long.
I mean that movie, again, it's like Cobra Kai. It's like when you Cobra Kai or you think of, Karate Kid, you think Miyagi, Danielson, which is Pat, and it's Ralph.
And it's good with the younger generation too now, because it gets the younger kids into it, and all the kids are good looking, they're in shape, and it's the times today. So, and I think it's important for the kids today to learn how to defend themselves, not to go beat people up. But when we were young, you hung out on the corner. Our fathers, when they were young, they were gangs, not that we're promoting that, but we learned how to stick up for ourselves. A lot of kids today really don't know how to, defend themselves. I think the karate and the modern martial arts and all of that stuff is good. It's good. And
well, it's tough because this generation, I know because of my kids, it's like the bullying is now cyberbullying.
We can't leave no bad comments on social media, because then we're going to be there for 2 hours arguing with people. It's not even worth it.
I'll be like, what do I write? I don't even know.
I get every now and then you get someone saying like, "Oh, Johnny P sucks," or like stupid stuff. I feel bad for the people that are real celebrities that like got millions of fans. It's just you can't look at it. You just
I try. My kids are in the business, so I try to tell them. I go, someone's always going to say something. You can't please everyone. All I'm asking you to do is be true to yourself, be yourself, and that's it.
Yeah. What's the next plan for you? I mean, I know you got some stuff. I know you're still working. You're directing films and writing. So, of course, is there anything you can share with us that's actually going on right now that you're doing?
It's tough right now because we haven't kind of like solidified everything. So I can't really say what it is, but there's some really, really cool stuff that's happening, so I don't know. I can't really say I want to share, but I can't right now.
That's all right. That's cool. Listen, I know the deal. I just figured I'd throw it out there.
I appreciate that question, though.
So now, before we part ways, why don't you tell me like a couple of funny stories while you were filming this, the documentary? I'm very curious with Henry Winkler, because I'm a big Happy Days fan. Love the Fonz.
Well, I'm not gonna. Okay, so no, he's great. I mean, and he's so nice. Like really all of them. Even when we went to interview Marion Ross, she's just. I thought I was going over to her like Mrs. Cunningham's house. Like that. She's a sweetheart. She's, she made us like something to drink, and she goes, "Guys, sit down." And she was just really, really sweet and nice, and she was wonderful.
Donnie Most is really cool.
All of those guys, everybody is. I mean, they're so down to earth. Don Most, Anson Williams, they were all great. They were all great. I have nothing to say other than there is I don't know if I necessarily have like funny stories, but there is kind of like a surreal thing because, you know, you grew up watching these guys in your, you know, in your living room, and all of a sudden now I'm sitting in their living room or I'm in their house or, you know, wherever I am at. It's just, so it is refreshing. And that's why I'm saying they were all fantastic and they're great people, human beings. I mean, I can't say anything great enough about them.
I'm sure you have to have something funny about Martin Cove because he's a character. I met him a bunch of times with Sean, and really, really cool guy. I was actually at a Halloween party with him when it was Sean's 50th birthday party a couple of years ago, and it was Halloween that weekend. And
right.
We had to meet him and hang out. Real funny guy. A couple of years later, this Cobra Kai thing just like blew up.
Yeah, even when we interviewed him, he I know at the time because they had just announced it. He wasn't told, hey, you're coming. Yeah. You know, no one had an idea where it was going to go because it was still at YouTube Red. It was still season 1, and you know what was going to happen with that. So he was waiting. He's like, I hope they call me, because I think we even asked him that. We go, so are you going to be on Cobra Kai? And he goes, I don't know, but he does great voice. He can imitate people really well.
Oh yeah.
So he would do that all the time. Like he would imitate Pat, and I think we even put that in the documentary. But he's funny. He's a great guy.
When they brought him into that last episode, the last scene, like, that made you want more.
Yeah, I mean, the whole arc, the way they presented it made me want more. He was great, and now that's why the way it ended, and I think he's on the phone and all that. It's like, who is he talking to? That's why when you said, "Oh, I hope they bring back Sean Kanan," you know, and all that, and those guys. And
but listen, yeah. I'm so glad that you came in and you zoomed with me. It was a pleasure. I was a little had butterflies on my stomach because I had so many questions. I didn't know exactly what to ask, but that's why I watched your interviews and I said, this guy's going to be easy. He knows exactly what he has to say. It makes my job easier.
No, man, I appreciate you having me on. So that means a lot. Yeah, I guess, can I share where people can see more?
Where can people find your social media, your websites, your platforms, anything you got, social security number, your credit card, whatever.
My blood. Yeah, so for social media, everything is More Than MIYAGI. That's the key. More Than MIYAGI on social. And then our website is morethanmiyagi.com. And if you go to morethanmiyagi.com, there's all the links to all the social media platforms. And then, you know, you can check us out. We're on iTunes, on Apple TV. It's doing really well. We're on Amazon. So if you're an Amazon Prime person, you can do that as well. Where else? Vudu, YouTube. We're on YouTube.
Vudu, good. I just got Vudu recently.
Yeah. So Vudu, YouTube. We're on YouTube in the United States and YouTube in Canada. Also, where else? And then anywhere, if somebody goes, well, I'm somewhere and we can't see you. There's one platform I can tell you right now that it doesn't matter where you're at. You could be at some cave in the Middle East and you can get it. It's Vimeo worldwide.
Vimeo's great. A lot of people don't know about it except the filmmakers and
right.
people in the industry. I love Vimeo. I got a lot of my shows all archived on there, but I don't get a lot of hits on there because people
don't know. Yeah,
I love going to YouTube.
Yeah, exactly. So if there's anyone that's listening and they go, well, I don't have it here, trust me, if you go to our website and go into the VOD links, there's a Vimeo one there, you'll be able to see it.
You have to be a nut if you can't find nothing that's on social media these days, right?
Yeah,
unless it's banned.
It's all there. It's all there, which is great. So thank you so much. I appreciate your
Oscar. You're a gentleman to the craft, and I wish you and Kevin all the best and many more. And don't forget me when you guys are up there getting your Oscar, okay?
No, hey, I mean, if we do other stuff, I would love to come back on your show.
Listen,
I appreciate it.
I tell everybody, once you're on, it's like being in the mob of entertainment. Once you're in, you never get out.
Love it. I'm in. Hey, I think you're doing a fantastic job. So
I appreciate it. Once we
keep doing what you're doing,
and you guys are in New York City, you come on the late night show. We'll have a good time.
Appreciate it. All right.
All right. God bless you.
Take care, Johnny.
Well, there you have it. The Real Miyagi, the Pat Morita Story. Make sure everybody watches it. Support the documentary. It's great. If you got a TV, you can find it. No excuses. But please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Join our YouTube channel if you're not already on it. Johnny Potenza. You can search Up Late with Johnny Potenza, Late Night with Johnny P, NYB, whatever. You'll find it, just like the documentary. Website, johnnyptv.com, and we're also on vimeo.com. And that's it. I'm glad you all, whoever tuned in, I can't see you, but I'm glad you watched. And I hope to see you again next time. Good night.